Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber ask a question about writing programs for power training. So let me go ahead and put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about it. All right, he was basically saying that he is struggling to write programs with a really strong power component. For people who don't understand power, power is speed strength. It's moving a moderately heavy weight or really heavy weight as quickly as possible. Also being able to often do it from a dead stop. Power and speed equals power. He's running into problems with not knowing how much strength maintenance need to be maintained in there, because it seems like his programs always end up as just strength programs instead of power programs. All right, brother, this is simple enough. Honestly, the way you need to look at it, obviously you're not doing periodization if you're putting a real focus on power, because periodization, you're going to rotate through different performance elements and focus on those things in different phases. So in this case, it seems like you're needing a continual power component. Maybe this is for field athletes or something, with a good strength base maintained. Honestly, I would look into some sort of concurrent training for this, concurrent style training. Now you could look a lot at what Louie Simmons and everyone has out there. The West Side Barbell approach, all of that, also known as the conjugate method, gives you guys some good information. You don't necessarily need to run his stuff the way it's written, because you're not doing his system. But there's a very strong body of knowledge there that guys like Louie Simmons have really built up over the years. It can get you going in the right direction for power training and how to make it work, because he always has a power element to his training year round. It's not always necessarily the main focus though. Because with them, they'll oftentimes run max effort days combined with power days, or dynamic effort days, or max effort days combined with hypertrophy days, depending on different phases. What I would say, if you're really trying to do power, it's going to depend. Are you talking about power for powerlifting, or are you talking about power for field athletes? Now, if it's the latter, the field athletes, you may not need to focus upon it on just some specific lifts, but everything. But I would recommend that you run stuff into split phases. You could either do full body 3 days a week with an A-B workout, or you could do like an upper-lower type split on a 4-day a week, depending upon what you're doing with your athletes. Because when you're trying to get a full long-term power style training going, I'm assuming you're working with an athlete of some type, even if it's an amateur athlete. That doesn't need to be professional. And what I would recommend, obviously if you're going to do a 4-day a week upper lower, you're going to want 2 strength days and 2 power days. Same thing with full body 3 days a week. It's going to be A, B, A, B. A could be strength, B could be power, or vice versa. But generally what I would recommend is, because power is so important to you in this, that I'm going to recommend that your strength days themselves actually maintain a power component. What I mean by a power component, you need to pick exercises mostly that you can do pause work on. I would say doing stuff like 3 sets on your big exercises, whatever they happen to be, 5 to 8 reps. 5 reps for your bigger exercises, 8 reps for slightly more accessory stuff, so 3 by 5 and 3 by 8. That's going to be your strength days, and you need to pick things that you can pause on. All right, a lot of pause work is going to be essential there. So what do I mean by pause work? Well, overhead pressing, you're going to want to pause. Okay, whether it's a front press, a behind the neck press, even if it's a push press, you're going to want to pause on the chest on each rep. All right, definitely push press is workable that way. Bench press, you're going to want to pause on the chest for a 1 count on every rep. Squats, you're going to want to pause at the bottom for a 1 count. Deadlifts, no touch and go. You're going to need to stop and reset the weight on every single rep. So your 5 to 8 rep strength days will maintain a speed strength element. All right, and this is how you make your power training be truly a power phase or a power style training, even though you're going to need a strength maintenance or strength building component to it, and you're going to get that really well in that 5 to 8 rep range. And again, that's going to count as your hypertrophy work also. Although your power work can do hypertrophy too, we'll get to that in a minute. But being able to do pause exercises, again, how about pen lay rows? Pen lay rows instead of barbell rows. Weighted chin-ups, weighted pull-ups need to be from a dead hang at the bottom. Everything needs to be about starting strength, all right? Developing speed strength from the hardest part of the lift from a dead stop. That's how you're going to want to program your strength days in a power training system. So yeah, you definitely need to pay attention to that. You need to be paying attention to the pause work and everything for your your heavier work, your strength-based work up in that 5 to 8 rep range. So exercise selection and exercise execution are going to be important. All right, for your actual power days, you're going to have more flexibility there. You may not need to do everything as paused work. All right, you may not need to. You might be able to just focus on speed, over speed eccentrics, band work, chain work, things like that. But what I'm going to recommend for your actual power days, everything needs to be 2 to 3 reps. No exceptions, 2 to 3 rep sets. You don't go over 3 reps on any exercise on your power days. All right, now you can do high volumes of it. In fact, I would even say you could do accumulation work. You know, you could come in and say with your push press, your deadlift, your power clean, right? Those are going to be big power exercises. You could start with a weight that's honestly 75%. You could work with 75% for triples. All right, and pull them as fast as possible. So you could do push, press, power clean, deadlift. Start with 3 sets of 3, and then with that 75%, and you could build up sets. Because you're working at 75%, you can wait 60 seconds between, minute and a half. You have a 30-40 minute power workout easy with those 3 exercises. And then any supplemental work that you do. You could also do band work. You could do box squats with bands. You could do bench press with bands. Again, focusing on those overspeed eccentrics. So on those, you may not need to worry about pause work. Same thing with the push press on this. You might be able to just rotate push press, push press, push press without a pause. And that's probably okay. Now, you're going to have to pause on the deadlift and the power clean. But those 3 exercises will give you your power. And if you're doing doubles or triples on them, you're going to maintain power on every single rep. And that's the thing that you need to understand when you're training for power. The nervous system will only allow you to move a weight with maximum velocity, any given weight, about 3 reps. That's your upper limit. You're not going to be able to move it with the same speed for 4 or 5 reps. Even a weight that's as light as 50% of your max, you're only going to be able to move it at maximum speed about 3 times in a row. So if you're doing more reps than that on any given set, you're not really training power. And it doesn't always have to be a heavy weight. You could drop down in, like I said, 75% is not bad to do accumulation work with triples with for speed. You're moving them as quickly as possible. Remember, power equals speed equals power. So everything needs to be fast, 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 fast. And like I said, don't discount for lifters who are getting more advanced with this stuff, band work. Band work with overspeed eccentrics can absolutely build power, particularly on exercises you can do them with, the bench press, the box squat, things like that. And this is stuff you could learn by, again, going looking at Louis Simmons' work, Dave Tate's work. All these Westside guys really have a lot of knowledge on a lot of the speed strength and how to train overspeed eccentrics and how to set those up in waves, determining how much weight to use. You could use those guys as a reference for that, okay, particularly when it starts coming to accommodating resistance stuff like band work. But like I said, you can build power without band work, but you're going to need to pick power-based exercises, and you're going to need to pick them with weights that are light enough for you to move with maximum speed and build from there. Like I said, you could run them in waves with high volume sets, or you could just do accumulation work. But the thing that you need to realize, this will double as hypertrophy work, and a lot of people don't realize that. 3 sets of 10 is 30 reps in a set. There's 30 reps in a workout. So if you come in and you were to deadlift, push press, and power clean 3 sets of 10, even with 75%, with 60 seconds between each one, that's going to accumulate metabolic fatigue, and it's going to maximize power because you're going to hit upper threshold muscle fibers by moving the weight as quickly as possible. So really, in a system like this, your hypertrophy will actually be handled by the cumulative fatigue built up by the actual power work. Okay, so the power work itself has a pretty decent hypertrophy element. That's one thing I've noticed. Every person who goes over and switches to dynamic effort work for a while, they almost always report gaining muscle they didn't expect to gain, even without true hypertrophy work. So it's interesting. Is it going to be as good as hypertrophy work? Maybe not. It's really hard to say, but it is something everyone notices. So that's kind of how that's going to work. And I'm assuming you are working just on power here, not necessarily max effort strength, because again, you were talking about maintaining strength. So that's why I've given you a system to where you have a strength day, strength maintenance day, that has a strong carryover to your power because of all the pause work. It makes you better at starting strength or speed strength, even though it is really just strength work up in the 5 to 8 rep range. But all that pause work is going to give you extra starting strength, which is going to be very important for anyone's overall power. And then the other stuff is all about pure speed strength when you're doing a bunch of triples with 75%, or you're coming in with bands and doing 50 or 60% intensity for high volume doubles or triples with bands so that you get over speed eccentrics. That is going to be pure power work in the purest form, because all of that is about developing speed, developing speed, developing speed. And speed equals power. So that's how you would do something like that. You need actual true power days, and then your strength days, you're going to need to have a power element that's going to carry over, and that's going to be mainly about exercise selection and exercise execution, not so much about your actual volume. And a setup like that should make your guys explosive. Anyone that you're training, you run a system like that and you get it dialed in right, yeah, their power is going to improve dramatically. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.